the 6th episode of the Delora Dabbles podcast. I have my cube storage system. You can see all of it now. Yay. This is all crafting. So I ordered a 30 cube set. This is 16 4x4. I have a 2x5 10 in my bedroom for my clothes. Because I split it, there was some loss, but 30 cubes in one spot would have taken up this whole wall, and I wouldn't be able to do anything with it for my clothes, and it wouldn't have been very accommodating for my purposes. So the one in my bedroom fits all my clothes, and I was going to split it 50-50, but apparently I have more fiber art supplies than I do clothes. So anyway, starting down here, I just kind of want to run through how I organized this. These are project bags. They're not even all like actual project bags. This is a Peace Corps bag from a job fair. Some Lancome bags. My mom is a big fan of Lancome makeup. This was a bag I sewed in high school in my fashion class. Pretty cute. Good memories. That was a nice class. Here I have my skein winder and my ball winder, and any other kind of mechanical tool like that I get in the future will go in here. Like if I get a yardage meter reader thingy, like, I don't know what the yardage counters maybe is what they're called, but yeah, it would go in there. This is all my dye stuff. So let me pull it out. I've got my thing for speckles, I've got my tongs, and of course my dyes and my mask. I am going to move my jars in here. They're still in the kitchen. I've really reworked my entire apartment, and I'm working on the kitchen now that I've finished everything else, so kitchen is still to be organized. So this is a miscellaneous box, so I had to make more room in my fiber box a few months ago, so I had to take out a lot of weird things. And this is ribbon, I've got an embroidery hoop, I've got bead cases. My mom found the rest of my bead case shelving set, so these beads are just 2 cases out of the shelving, and it's basically got all of my nice beads in it. I think the rest of the beads in the shelving have kind of like rinky-dink beads. I don't know yet because it's been so long. These are amigurumi eyeballs from my stuffed animal production days back in high school. You'll recognize these buttons from last week. So I decided to just keep it in the box inside the cube, just so that I could pull it out and it's not like an unorganized cube. I might organize it again at some point and like put them in smaller things, but right now it's just all in a box. These are my tools. This isn't all of my tools, obviously, but you'll recognize the crochet hook case. I've got a scale back there and my knitting needle case. I've got other knitting needle cases that need to go in here later. Another thing about the cubes is that these doors will open each other, and that's kind of annoying, but keeps the cat out. So he just doesn't try very hard, I think. These are, I'm gonna sit. I'm lazy, I'm just gonna sit now. These are some commercial yarns I really like. So I've got Yarn Bee, snowflakes, and different partial skeins of it. I've got 4 different skeins of Patan's lace. So I've got 2 colorful ones and 2 red ones. In the middle here I have some mohair, partial skeins. And then this right here is all sock. So I've got 2 skeins, and like I've balled these. It's the Knit Picks Chroma. So then I've got my 3 skeins of Deborah Norville in this colorway, 2 skeins in the pink, and then 1 skein of the Koi Effects. So yeah, and like I said, the mohair. And now we scoot. So these right here are yarns that I don't know what to do with, but that I'm pretty sure I'm gonna weave with. So I've got 2 of my Darn Good Yarn skeins. I've got this weird skein here that I really don't know what to do with because it's a trellis yarn, if you can see. Really weird. This I've kept for knot binding. This is a really good knot binding practice wool, I think. Yeah, and like mostly cottons and stuff. So I ordered several skeins of the Knit Picks Comfy for weaving, and I got black for some of my darker colored hand woven stuff, and I got white for some of my lighter colored hand woven stuff. And yeah, these are all of my sweater quantities here. So this isn't exactly a sweater quantity, but it is a very big ball. This is some Big Lots yarn that you can buy for like $2 a skein at Big Lots, and they had several of the same color, so I bought them. I came home, I balled them all together, I tied them all in knots. I tied all the different skeins into knots and balled it. And of course when I got my cake, my yarn winder, I caked all of them, so. I went a little cake crazy with my ball winder, but I love having cakes. They stack better. They stack really well, actually. This is actually something that I found at the Goodwill. So it was a whole package of these that someone ordered from Jadifra. This is Jadifra Satata in this kind of like baby teal colorway. Someone ordered it and like I guess never used it, or maybe their kids threw it out. I don't know. But I got it for $4. It still has the sticker on it right here. And I guess the people at Goodwill opened it up to take the packing slip out, because you can, this is part of the shipping thing. They got it from online from the manufacturer, so that was really weird. Weird find, but I'm happy for it. This is some Yarn Bee Melody, and my goal is to do like an ugly sweater with this at some point. And I've got 4 skeins of it in like, is it bulky? I think it's bulky. It could be super bulky, but I think it's bulky. These are my Knit Picks Peruvian wool, or wool of the Andes is what they call the yarns. So I've got 13 total. So whenever you order multiples of 10 from Knit Picks, they'll come in plastic like this, as long as it's a multiple of 10. So I ordered 13, so they gave me 1 pack of 10 in the plastic, and then 1 and then 3 just loose. So I ordered 13 skeins because I wasn't sure how much yarn I would need. I was also a little bit bigger back then, so I bought extra skeins to be safe. Now that I've lost weight, like I'm about 40 pounds lighter than I was when I bought that yarn. That is old stuff that I got forever ago. Most of my commercial yarn is very old. I've had it for a while and just didn't use it. But yeah, I planned on making the Galadriel hooded dress with that yarn, and I don't know about using it now. I'm not sure if that yarn is going to have good enough drape for it. I'll need to swatch for it, but that's a huge project, so I'm also not going to be working on it anytime soon, I don't think. This is all my hand spun. This is all my hand spun. I've done a whole video on hand spuns, so I'm not going to bore you with that. But I will pause here to change my camera angle. Ah, that's better. Now you guys can see my charka. So moving from my hand spuns over to my luxury yarns. These are, again, commercial yarns, and I consider them all to be some of my luxury style yarns. You can see that this isn't like a super full bin like some of these or this one, because I just don't have a whole lot of like luxury stuff. This is the Darn Good Yarn Sorry Silk Scraps. Several of these skeins were given to me, and I'm just going to pull those out. So these were all given to me, and they are all 100. Like these two are 100% wool. I will be putting a text of what they are, because I did have labels for these, or at least figure out what they were somehow. This is definitely some kind of plant-based fiber, and it looks like a blend because there's a lot of texture in it. So I'm not sure if it's all cotton or what. This, I don't think, have a label. There's sequins, which adds even more texture, and it's really nice, and I think it would make nice clothes. It's just, I know that whatever fabric I knit out of this, I will have to cut the sequins out on the purl side, because sequins are like not next to skin at all. They're kind of sharp and weird. So this is some tape yarn that you can see it's like one side gold, one side brown, and it looks similar to the Barocco Zin. I have 8 balls of this. I love this stuff. I crocheted a hairpin lace shawl with this. I did try to sell it back in high school on my Etsy, but no one wanted to pay what it was worth, so I ended up giving it to my dear friend Jeff, and she loves it to death. So if I can't get my money's worth for something I made, I will give it to someone who will love it as much as it's worth. Someone I know personally, obviously. I'm not just giving my stuff away. This is some really, really slippery tape yarn, and I can't wait to do some kind of like summer hairpin lace something with it. I think it'll look fantabulous. Onto fiber and other stuff and getting out of the yarn. We have the Cheviot that I dyed last week. This is some Rolags that I made a little while ago, actually. So this has black and red Sorry Silk Scraps. This one has red, and you can't really see the red silk on red merino, but you can kind of sort of see the black in this one. You can really see the black in some of them, because whenever you're blending Rolags, sometimes your goodies don't always make it to the outside, if that makes any sense, of the Rolags. So there's goodies on the inside of all of the Rolags, but they just don't always make it to the outside. What I plan to do, since the coloring with the black Sorry Silk and the Rolags is inconsistent, and I know it's going to spin up into a yarn that has inconsistent black elements to it, I'm going to speckle this yarn with black after I spin it. So it's going to be like a double dye job. I dyed the fiber, I blended everything up, and then I'm going to speckle the finished yarn afterwards. This is some old scraps from years ago whenever I wasn't very good at blending on my blending board, so I had extras. I don't have extras anymore, because you really shouldn't have extras coming off of your blending board. That I really like to overpack my blending board to the point where I would have extras, because I wouldn't be able to make a whole... It's complicated, but it is what it is. This is my weaving box. As you can see, there's not a lot in here, but what is in here is very economical. So I'm just dabbling in weaving. I did not want to buy a loom. And I have an antique Lily table loom that, it's at my parents' house right now. I've got to get it. But I attempted to learn on that, and it was a labor of love. When I get it from my parents, I'll do a whole podcast episode on refurbishing an antique loom, I guess. But these are warping pegs, and they're very economical. They're also a lot more like space-wise more economical than like a warping board. I don't really need a warping board. I'm just a dabbler, a beginner. So I can set my warp to be this long. If I want to make towels, I can set my warp to be this long. As long as I can set this peg somewhere over here and this peg literally anywhere else, I can warp as big as that. So very nice, and again, economical. This is my backstrap loom. I'm not the best at weaving, and I'm certainly not the best at backstrap looms, so I do want to do a video on it when I feel like I am at a level where a video of me doing it would be helpful and not confusing as fuck. So these are all of my working pieces right now, minus my shed stick. You have a lot of sticks in here, and they're all very slightly different. So this is the shed stick, or the shed roll. It's going to be your biggest piece. And it will stay typically at the top of your loom as you're working. This is one of your end rods, because even though you can only use 2 end rods at one time, obviously, but you do this weird switcheroo thing with backstrap looms that requires you to have a 3rd end rod at some point. I have 2 heddle sticks, and there is a way to weave, there's a way to set up a heddle with thread, and that's how you do it on a backstrap loom. You make a thread heddle. And most people, and this is a Guatemalan backstrap loom, in the Guatemalan tradition, you'll have 2 heddle sticks that both have the heddle joined to them. But I decided to wrap my heddles in a more, I believe, like old world style. So like think Europe and the Middle East and India. So it's kind of more of an old world style and not a Guatemalan style. So I always have an extra heddle stick, but I use it. You can see I've got yarn wrapped around here, because they don't give you a, whatchamacallit, a shuttle. But they use these sticks as shuttles. So because I had an extra, because of the way that I wrap my heddles, I had an extra heddle stick that I now use as a shuttle. And I find it way easier to use this stick with a backstrap loom than to use a traditional shuttle. Then you have your beading sticks. Basically, you're going to use this big beading stick throughout the majority of your work. As you get closer to the top and you can't fit this big one in anymore, you start using this little one. When you can't use this little one anymore, you use a large tapestry needle, and you just weave with a needle until you've closed up that gap, and then you're done. So yes, that's everything. Oh, well, this is the actual strap. So, and I got it from the Fair line on Etsy, so yes. This is all of my Peruvian wool, and this box is not going to stay here for long because I plan on using all of this up very soon. So these are all just extras that came off. There's some cat hair on them as well, and they're kind of not, they're Peruvian wool, so it's not choice wool to begin with, but it's particularly not choice wool because I've got other pieces of dyed wool on there. There's some cat hair in there. So that's going to be my practice when I get my wheel. I'm going to fart around with this stuff. This is one of my first dyed rovings that didn't come out particularly bad or felted. Now the ends are very felted, you'll see, right there especially. But they're not felted for very far. I've got a very skinny bit of felting on the end. So this was one of my better dye jobs in the beginning. I never spun it up because I just didn't like the colors. I was playing with colors, and I think whenever we all first start dyeing, we want a roving that has all the colors in it. And that's certainly what I did. I made a roving with all the colors in it, and after it dried and everything, and I was thinking about spinning it, and I was thinking what the yarn would look like, and I was like, gross, yuck. Because I've got yellow right on top of purple, and I've just got some really weird things going on. So I will spin this. This will be my first actual project on the wheel, just to get it out of the way and to play with my wheel and to work on consistency throughout a large amount of fiber. These I ordered with my very first order ever of fiber from Knit Picks. This is before I discovered Paradise Fibers, obviously. This is 3 100-gram things of Knit Picks Peruvian wool of the Andes. And it's Tide Pool Heather colorway. I never spun this because I was like, after spinning 100 grams of the white, I was saving this until I got better. But after spinning 100 grams of the white, I realized how big 100 grams was. And I was like, there's no way I'm spinning all of this on a spindle. This is 300 grams worth of something. I'm not spinning it on the spindle. And that was 6 years ago. So I've had this for about 6 years. That will be my first big project on the wheel, my first like multiple things, and I'm honestly thinking I'm going to do a 3-ply, so I'm going to fill 1 bobbin with each of these, and then whenever I go to 3-ply, I'll fill a bobbin with a 3-ply, cut it, fill a bobbin with a 3-ply, cut it, fill the last bobbin with a 3-ply. That's what I plan to do. So it'll make for a very even yarn, and because it's all one color and it's a heathered color, it'll really go with anything that I decide to do with it. This is this is kind of a throw together box. I've got lots of different things in here. I've got the dyed merino that I'm going to, what do you call it, fractal spin. I'm going to fractal spin this when I get my wheel. That will probably be my my second project before I move on to the heathers over there. These are some of my nicer Rolags, so like my Rolags that have silk or alpaca or nylon in them. I like to refer to these as my luxury Rolags, so I put them all in here. These are an old batch, and I will take out a few, and I will take out one of these balls. So this is what they look like. You can see that they've got this teal, this gray, and this black, and then some black silk. This was done the exact same way with different colors. So the Rolags for this yarn looked exactly like this. And I don't think I'm going to spin them exactly the same way as I did this one. Even though they're kind of sort of companion colors, I did them the same way. I arranged them in the Rolag the same way. They're the same fiber content. I just don't think... I think I want to do something a little different with this set. I think I want to 2-ply it, perhaps. Or I might leave them as singles and weave with them. I've been very tempted to do that. This is the Corriedale Nylon blend I showed you guys last week. These are the Alpaca Nylon Merino blends, all of these. I sampled with these, as I'm sure you will recognize, and I did quite a few samples with these. I'm thinking about combination spinning all of this together, because I originally only dyed up 100 grams of each, like, colorway, basically. They're probably about 90 grams each now. If I were to keep these and spin this into a yarn, spin this into a yarn, spin this into a yarn, they wouldn't really be enough for socks or anything big. But if I combination spin them all together and I stripe, I go purple, dark brown, teal, a lighter brown, pink, an even lighter brown, back to purple, and on, I can get a very big combination spin out of these. And they're the same fiber content, just different colors. So I think that that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to make, I should be able to get several pairs of socks out of a spin like that. I'm hoping. At least 2 pairs. And I'm thinking one to keep and one to sell, perhaps. I have very lofty goals. Oh, I didn't talk about my cotton. So, back here, I have, these are all my plant fibers. I should probably throw this away, but I'm loath to do so without playing with it further. And I want to do some dye experiments on, you can see that I spun up some of this already. This is hemp. I attempted to dye this hemp with acid dyes, and I ruined this fiber. And then I continued to try to spin from it. This is the half of the hemp fiber that I did not dye. I did not destroy it. This is perfectly good hemp fiber. It's just hemp is extremely difficult to spin. I don't recommend it if you haven't already spun cotton and figured out how you like to spin cotton. Try hemp after you've done cotton. This is my cotton with the VM, the vegetable matter, all up in it. I am going to spin these still. I'm just going to spin them after I spin all of this, my good cotton. And I want to weave towels out of them, so I'm not worried about the VM. If I'm weaving towels with it, it doesn't matter. The rough usage on the towel will eventually beat all of the VM out of it. And whenever you weave with it, the friction of all of the weaving going on is going to also beat some of the VM out. So I'm not concerned using this for towels. It's still a bitch to spin, but with weaving, I feel like an inconsistent single is just going to make the weaving look more quaint. It's not going to make it look disastrous. Like sometimes a really uneven yarn can ruin your knitting, and I feel like it's harder for an inconsistent single to ruin your weaving. So, especially if you're doing a plain weave or a twill weave or something like that for a towel. This is my Egyptian white cotton from Paradise Fibers. It is so wonderful to spin. I mean, it's still cotton, so it's still a little bit difficult, but I'm not having to fight the vegetable matter, which is great. Oh, I didn't put you back. And I didn't put you back. I'm trying my damnedest to stay organized, y'all. This is my wall. So I left a lot of this space open. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but like I'm kind of just pulling things out of these boxes like they're a clown car. That's because these boxes are like extra deep. So like I can put my whole arm in here just about. So, because they're that deep. And I got the extra deep ones. And I left most of this empty because I just ordered from Paradise Fibers some more stuff. So right now I have probably like shy of a pound. I probably have like 4 ounces shy of a pound of merino left. The only merino I've used out of that has been for this here, the luxury merino alpaca nylon mix. This is what's left of my Corriedale. I'd say I probably have a little more than half a pound left, just a little bit more than half. I ordered from Paradise Fibers a 4-ounce bit of Gotland. I'll tell you more about the Gotland in a minute. I ordered 1 pound of BFL. I've never spun BFL. I've never knit with BFL. For those of you who haven't heard that acronym, it's Blue-Faced Leicester. It's actually really weird. I don't like to say Blue-Faced Leicester because I've only ever read it in a book. And I always read it in my head as being Blue-Faced Leicester, because that's how I would assume posh British people would say it. But no, they say Blue-Faced Leicester, and I was like, what? No. I guess coming from the South, we're always kind of made fun of a lot for our accents and having lazy tongues, and the more that I've been kind of coming across sheep breeds, especially those named in Britain, or after places in Britain, I have realized that British people have an extremely lazy tongue too. They will not say Leicester, they will say Leicester. And they don't get made fun of it because they're supposed to be so posh because they're British, and I don't understand it. But I say BFL. So I've got a pound of BFL coming and 2 more pounds of Corriedale. Sorry. I ordered 2 more pounds of Corriedale because I want to do a very large project, and I want to, basically I want to spin a sweater quantity type project. I don't know which project yet because I was originally going to do 2 pounds of Gotland, because last week on Paradise Fibers the Gotland was $6 per 4 ounce, because apparently it was on sale, but it didn't actually say it was on sale, so I thought, oh, it's kind of in clearance, so it'll be $6 from now on until they get rid of this old stock. No, it was only $6 per 4 ounce last week, and I could have gotten 2 pounds of Gotland for a really good price. This week when I went to order, it was all the way back up to $10 per 4 ounce, and because I knew I could have gotten it cheaper last week, I was not going to pay $10 per 4 ounce, so I just didn't get 2 pounds of Gotland. I got 2 pounds of Corriedale because I know that I love Corriedale. I know it's a versatile fiber that I can do lots of different things with, and because I changed fiber on myself, I don't have the same project in mind. So, excuse me. The air has been really bad around here lately. I don't usually drink out of this big bottle, but it was just there on the table and I needed it. We've had air quality alerts here for like 2 weeks straight, and sometimes I feel something get stuck in my throat, especially whenever I have all my windows and doors open, but I don't know. I don't actually care that much. I also smoke, so I really don't care that much about the air quality, obviously. But yeah, I was going to order 2 pounds of Gotland because I know that it has good drape, and I've read several different places online. I have stalked some Ravelry threads about this Gotland. So Gotland is gray. It's always going to be gray, just about. There are some people who will breed Gotland crosses that will have extra colors, but traditionally Gotland is only gray. People mostly know it as the fiber used to spin and weave the Lord of the Rings cloaks from the movies, and my friend has one of those because he went to New Zealand and did all of that stuff, and yeah, so I know what Gotland feels like in a finished woven fabric, so I was all about buying 2 pounds of Gotland for this. It's like a lace coat thing, duster, whatever. It's from the unofficial Harry Potter Knits magazine. I think most people will know what I'm talking about, but I'll put the name in the text off to the side somewhere. So I was going to order 2 pounds of Gotland, over dye the gray in a teal or a purple or a red, depending on which color I liked better, but that ended up not happening. I'm going to wait for Gotland to go on sale again, or maybe I will be able to find a Gotland fleece somewhere, and I know that we are having a fiber festival in Cyprus near Houston. Like, it's a suburb of Houston. It's practically still Houston. And I might be able to find a Gotland fleece there. That would be the only fleece I'd be willing to buy, and at that point, hopefully I will have combs to process fleece with. I ordered 1 4-ounce thing of it, so to give you an idea of 4 ounces, this is about what a pound looks like. A pound is 16 ounces, so 4 ounces. This is 4 ounces of alpaca. So yeah, pound of BFL, 2 pounds more of Corriedale Cross, and 4 ounces of Gotland. I ordered spinning wheel oil so that I would be all set and ready to go. I also ordered unscented unicorn power scour just to have and try out and wash some of my finished things with. So I'm thinking I will buy some Eucalan for my finished objects and use the power scour for actually scouring fleece. I don't know how that stuff works yet, so I will just have it since I had money to get it. And I had a coupon code. So these are all my blending fibers. This is going to be full when I get my order in. This is going to be full. I'm probably going to devote one of these boxes to spinning wheel accessories if I can. I might not be able to though. It might be one of the boxes down there if the stuff is heavy enough. Because these individual shelves, you don't want to put too much on them. I think they said a 15-pound max total, I believe. I don't know. Look it up if you are interested. But I figured for fiber and clothing, this would be great. That's what they're marketed for. They're marketed for clothing. But anyway, Brad, don't you dare. No! No, you ain't never tried to jump on that. Don't you try to jump on that now. It ain't gonna hold you. You're 16 pounds. You are 1 pound over the limit, baby. So, these are all my alpacas. So these are the alpaca fiber from Tejas Alpacas. This is the baby alpaca from Paradise Fibers. This is what's left of my Firestar. I believe it's like 15 grams or 20 grams or something like that. This is sparkle. So I've got red sparkle. I've got a bunch of silver sparkle because I love me some silver sparkle, y'all. This is Sorry Silk Scraps. This was not expensive when I bought it years ago. It's actually expensive now, which I think is weird. Silk prices, I feel like, have skyrocketed since I first ordered these fibers. And I ordered the silk 3 or 4 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago. 3. It was 3. I was living with my friend Jeff. So this is what's left of my cultivated silk fiber roll. Paradise Fibers had 3.5 ounces of this cultivated silk for, I want to say, $14, but it was less than 20 for 3.5 ounces. Now you can get 4 ounces for $36 is the running price for cultivated silk. Yeah, that's a lot. I don't see myself paying that much for silk, or I guess I would pay that much for yak or camel or something that I haven't already played with a lot, because I've played with this silk a lot. And it's not like primo cultivated silk. But it's still very, very nice cultivated silk. It's in a roll, so I've got to actually unroll what is left of this. The roll was much wider. I have stripped it off and down through the years, so... And this is 25 grams. And I'm thinking what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to dye it some really bright and vibrant colors. And then I'm going to blend it with my baby alpaca. So, see how that goes. I have not tried a silk alpaca blend, so that's really, really what I want to do with it. And that's everything in the cube storage, guys. I will go ahead and open all of these doors so that you can just gingerly look at them while I'm talking about some of the other stuff this week. I don't have much to talk about in the way of projects. I finished the cowl that I'm about to show you. So this baby here. I didn't know it last week when I filmed,
But I put my progress marker here, and you can see that I was just halfway done. I didn't realize I was halfway done at that point. So I didn't do 2 pattern repeats. I just did 1 pattern repeat of the cabling because this is how I want my cowl to be. And the alpaca is it's not as royally as some of like the other cowls, and it's not hot enough for me to need to double something over either, and it's alpaca, so you don't really have to double it over. It's very warm. Yeah, I think it turned out fantastically. Yeah, so I had to alter the pattern a little bit because no, I didn't alter the pattern itself. I had to switch needles and change gauge. Yeah, I just completely changed gauge on this to get my result. And I did 5 pattern repeats instead of 4 because I changed the gauge. So it was fun. I do really, really love this pattern. And I've got this much. I reballed my skein of remaining alpaca. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 at a time boot cuffs in this pattern here until I run out of yarn. And, well, until they meet in the middle and I run out of yarn. So that's what that's going to be, because I want to use all of it and I want them to match. So I'm just going to take the walnut bark cowl pattern and just make boot cuffs out of them. Now, to do that, I'm basically going to demonstrate how I figured out what size to make. So my boot cuff is going to sit around here, this area of my leg. And this much will wrap around. So that's 1, 2, 3 pattern repeats. That's how I know how many to cast on. I'll cast on for 3 pattern repeats. And then 2 at a time until I run out. Yep, the onesie is coming along really well. I'd say I'm about halfway done with it. Hey, Brad. I'd say I'm about halfway done with it. So, yeah, this wasn't a super long knit. I do like cables, and I'm pretty quick with cables. So this took no time at all. So if you're quick with cables, it's a very quick knit. If you haven't got a lot of experience with cables, the cable pattern it's easily predictable. I wouldn't say do it for your first cable pattern, but it's beautiful when you know what you're doing and you pay really close attention, because sometimes you go from cabling forward to cabling back, like holding your stitches to the back of the work and holding your stitches to the front of the work. They alternate in really weird ways. So you need to make sure that you keep an eye on that to make sure you're cabling in the right direction. Yeah. The book this month. There it is. One moment. So, the book this week is A Fine Fleece, Knitting with Handspun Yarns by Lisa Lloyd. I did read through this book. It's a pretty interesting book, but I think I know why other people haven't recommended this book, or there hasn't been a lot of buzz around it. There's not a whole lot of new information here in the foreword and all of the other stuff. It's basically just generic, obvious technical things that I've read plenty of times in other books that came out before and after this one. So it's interesting, but I really like where she talks about her opinions on sheep breeds that she used in this book for these patterns. At the same time, she really invalidates herself, and she doesn't have a lot of confidence as a writer, I think. So it's harder for me to have confidence in her. So what she'll do is she'll say something, and then she will invalidate it. So she'll say, oh, I love fleece of this breed, and and then she'll be like, oh, but all fleeces are variable across, and your fleece might not be like my fleece, and she invalidates herself. Some of the patterns here, because she'll do a pattern and like take for instance these scarves. This is commercial yarn and this is hand spun, and she does companions. All of her patterns in this book have a companion between hand spun and commercial. Some of her garments, the hand spun will look baggier. It will not drape very well compared to the commercial spun yarn. And it could be that her hand spun was knit for her and her size, and they chose a thinner model, and the commercial yarn was actually knit for the model of that size. So it could be a sizing difference. It could be that the hand spun is bigger than the commercial. I don't know, but things like drape doesn't have anything to do with size. So I just found that kind of strange. She does have wonderful patterns in here though. It's just hard for me sometimes because I look at the hand spun and then I look at the commercial and I go, well, obviously the commercial was better than the hand spun. Another thing that she does is all of her hand spuns used in this book are 2-ply. Some of the commercial yarns are not 2-plies. Most of her commercial yarns are 3-plies or more. And that's an issue because you're not just looking at the difference between a hand spun and a commercial, you're now also looking at the difference between a 2-ply and a 3-ply. So there could be absolutely nothing wrong with her hand spun. The pattern just might look better with a 3-ply instead of a 2-ply. But she doesn't address those things at all. So it's hard to know. I feel like if you were going to do this book and do it well, you would want to do a hand spun 3-ply and a commercial 3-ply, a hand spun 2-ply and a commercial 2-ply, and do a comparison from there so that you have, a constant in your experiment, if that's what it's supposed to be like, and it definitely presents itself as being like an experiment. But yeah, the patterns are fantastic, if nothing else, whether you're a spinner or not. I really do like her sweater patterns. If you like cable sweaters, all the better, because she's got a few different really nice cable sweaters in here, and really great sizing options as well. And I really like this. This sweater has a square neck, and I've never done a square neck. It looks like it's a set-in sleeve, something like that. I might do this, I might not. I don't know yet, but interesting book. There are some problems with it. It's not perfect, but if you have it in a library or you can get a hold of some of these patterns, the patterns I said are fan-fucking-tastic. So that's the book review. I want to give you guys just a little update on my life, and if you're not interested in that, I totally understand. I'm not going to ramble for very long, but I do appreciate you stopping by anyway. So, bye if you're not interested. If you are interested, so this year, 2019, has been the year of fucked up packages. So I've talked about what happened with Paradise Fibers. They handled it beautifully, and I ended up getting a pound of Cheviot for free. If you're interested, look in previous episodes. Amazon was supposed to deliver my package on Monday, but the driver, I'm guessing, wanted to get off work early and didn't want to do his job. He did not even drive by my house. One of the representatives, whenever they transferred me to the sorting facility of Houston, here, that woman was extremely rude to me, and I called her out, and I was like, this guy sounds like he just wanted to get off work early. He needs to clock back in and do his job. And she hung up on me. So I had both of them written up. It was a really long and stressful kind of thing. I was really looking forward to having my storage cube on Monday. Monday was a really bad day, and I decided to not go to class And I had it in my mind that I was going to get my cube storage, I was going to put it together, that was going to be my evening, and I was just going to completely obsess over this and make myself feel better. I feel better sometimes whenever I just obsessively do something. When I wasn't able to do that, I flipped my shit and called Amazon. And then this woman added insult to injury by being a bitch to me and hanging up on me. So she got her ass rolled up. It was really... Monday was just awful. It was fucking awful. Tuesday, I finally got it. And the delivery guy, I think, was being petty. Because he put my package in the dirt. The whole backyard is cemented over. The cement is clean. And he put it in the only patch of dirt in the entire fucking backyard. So... yeah, that was mildly annoying. I was not going to call Amazon again. But if I was a fucking bitch, I would. But I did not, because I'm not. An update from JMS Wheels. So last week they said something along the lines of it would be ready. I'm sorry. Last week they said it would be ready soon. So I let you guys know it would be ready soon. Last week they said Monday. Monday rolls around, Tuesday rolls around. I had to message them. Every time something happens, I have to message them. So they tell me Monday, and I'm like, awesome, Monday. Monday or Sunday or Saturday, they don't tell me that it's not going to be Monday. On Monday, I'm like, what's going on? Tuesday, I'm like, okay, they didn't mail it off today or yesterday. Let me message them to see what's going on. I have to reach out to them if there's a change. I don't like that. I should be notified by them when there is a change, when the change happens. I shouldn't be left hanging thinking one thing for several days and then come to find out nothing's been going on that I think has been going on because they told me it would be going on, but then it didn't. So they didn't tell me. They just let me think, that it was still happening and it wasn't. So that is extremely annoying. That said, she said, whenever I contacted her on Wednesday, she said they were rocking through parts. She didn't even mention a day or when it would ship or anything. So I don't know. I don't know if it's going to ship today. I don't know if it's going to ship tomorrow or next week. I'm thinking, because they have given me an expectation and then killed that expectation so many times. It's hard for me to have an expectation of this wheel at all, because every time they say something and they give me, and I'm expecting what they're saying to be true, and there's now an expectation because they told me something, boom, they cut it and it's gone. That expectation has been dashed. And then I'm disappointed because you told me one thing and then it wasn't true. It turned out to not be the case, and I had to find out days after the fact that that was not the case. It's weird. It's just really weird business practice. I don't know. They are a family, homegrown kind of business. But my dad owns his own business, and that's not how he does business. And he's a contract carpenter, so he's not like a furniture carpenter or like a spinning wheel carpenter. Like this guy's contract carpenter, so I guess he can't afford to be that way because he's in contracting and not art stuff and not hand artisan things. But anyway, it's just really weird. So I would like to hope maybe next week it will ship out. But even then, it could take it 2 or 3 weeks to get to me. I have no clue how long the actual shipping will take. I'm still just waiting for my wheel to get shipped. So I really have no real update on that. But I'll keep you guys posted as much as possible because I know there are several people that I've talked to who are interested in this wheel. I told them how long I've been waiting and they were like, oh hell no. No. But then some people were like, well, is it good? And I'm like, I don't know yet. And they're like, tell me if it's good or not, and I'll consider getting it. So, I can't say anything about the wheel yet because I don't have it. But I am very, very excited. Hello, Brad. I thought I felt you lurking. I am very, very excited to like know that maybe within the month I'll have it. Maybe in the next 5 weeks I'll have it. So my only fear is that it's going to come during finals and I'm not actually going to have time to play with it. It'll finally be here. I'll finally have it. I'll be so excited. And I can't fucking touch it because I've got papers to write. That is my worst fucking fear with this right now and the timing at which I will be getting it. And as soon as I get done with school, I'm going to Mobile. I hope that whatever you're doing this week, whatever projects, whatever shipments you have coming in, I hope everything goes flawlessly for you, honeys. And happy crafting. I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.